Hello, my DevNation friends. Hello, Anna.
Hey, Sebi. Hello, everyone.
Hey, how are you, Anna, today?
Well, I'm fine, energized. I'm having some sun. Probably you're seeing it behind
Yeah, I
me.
see it every time. Yes. Yeah. 2 weeks ago was the same. It was also a sunny day for you in the
Yeah,
Netherlands.
well,
So yeah.
all good weather here. Spring
Yeah.
is coming everywhere.
Okay, so for everyone who is joining, thank you. There was some hiccups with the stream, indicating it was supposed to start 1 hour ago. That's because in the US DST happened last weekend, and in Europe it will happen not this weekend but the weekend after. So we are in this weird limbo moment where all the meetings are messed up and everything goes wrong. Hopefully, you're still there. And yeah, Anna, maybe you want to introduce our guest of today,
So
and I will
today,
bring her on stage.
sure. So today we have a very special guest that I hope that it will inspire you to contribute to open source and love Java even more. And we'll be looking forward to hearing her story. So without further any other delay, welcome Neha.
Hey,
Hello everyone. Thank you so much,
hello.
Anna. I can't describe. I don't think I'm that good that you have described me as.
Oh my God. So yes, well, Nea, welcome. I know you for quite some time, and I've been having the pleasure to talk with you several times, and it's amazing what you have done and what you're doing. So I would like for you to start by telling us here a little bit about yourself, which you consider defines you, your role, and what you like to do. About anything that would make us and the audience get to know you better.
Thank you so much. I'll try to be discreet. So, my name is Neha. Hello. I live in New Jersey, United States. I'm originally from New Delhi, India. So, hello from India as well. And I'm a fellow Jug leader at Garden State Java User Group in New Jersey and also at New York Java SIG, where we organize various tech talks, conferences, which are free of cost. We try to be interactive with our audiences and try to bring out the new content every time. It's like when we want to learn something, we take help from the Java developer advocates and tell them, okay, come and join us and show some knowledge to us so that we can be all up to date, because it's the ever changing industry right now. So that's all I do. In my after day job, I work at Morgan Stanley, which is a bank here at New York. So I've just started working since January, so I'm still new. But overall, I have worked around 12, 13 years with Java. I have lived in many countries. I've started in India, I've worked in Denmark, still my favorite place. And I've moved to US since like 5 years now. So I think that would describe myself pretty well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Nia, for all this. It's amazing. And now let me ask you an introductory question. So, can you share with us your story? How did you start contributing to open source?
Oh yeah, it's a very interesting story. So I'm a big introvert. I have like a stage fright. I'm very like shy when trying to introduce yourself to people. And I remember when I was working at BNY Mellon, we had an internal meeting where there was Java champions from BNY Mellon introduced to us. It was like a Q&A, ask me anything type. So it was Don, Rab, Chandra, Guntur, and Nikhil Nanivedikar. So I remember when I attended it, it kind of blew my mind. Like I was very excited that okay, these three Java champions are here, and I can literally talk to them. And I remember one of my office colleagues, she invited Don, Rab, and Chandra to my department meeting. So we met with him. So I was shivering, but I still managed to like talk to them after the meeting, like just chit chat, and we shared a cab together. So sort of like it started, and that cab ride was like the ever changing cab ride I ever had. So they told me about the Java community, how I can be involved, Chandra invited me to be involved in Garden State Java user group. He also gave me mentorship. So he was helping me there. And then Don was helping me because I had a question. I wanted to contribute to open source for a very long time and I didn't know where to start from. So I asked Don Rab, okay, you know about Eclipse collection, so maybe you can shed some light. How can I start? And he gave me, okay, the process is simple. You can start with the code katas as well, just solve them. And because there's a process involved, you have to do the Git ceremonies and everything. So you learn the process and then you make the actual contribution as well. So I did two contributions, one to the code kata and the other one to the Eclipse collection, which actually released a few months ago. So I was like, yay, that was the very exciting feeling that my code was actually released in the library. So yeah, I guess it was that.
Well, that's a very great story. And to our audience here, so every open source project has its own guidelines for contribution. So whenever you feel like contributing to that one, please make sure to read the contribution guidelines and make sure you adhere to them. Sometimes it can be the way that you're naming your branches, sometimes the way that you're templating your pull request. And moreover, this is for like a way to like have a good standard, because like many of you know, the open source projects are meant for all of us to benefit
Right.
from, and we need good standards so that we can understand them and communicate even better. So speaking about Eclipse collections and your contribution there, I followed your contributions there.
Oh, wow.
So
Unlucky.
yeah, I'm not a stalker. I'm just a follower of people that are contributing to projects that I love and I admire you, honestly. So would you like to share more about Eclipse collection? What are those? How they can help Java developers and things like these?
Well, I think Eclipse collection is a great starting point because I wanted to start technical, and collections API is already there in Java for a while. And you can sort of correlate because Eclipse collection is like an enhanced version. It's pretty efficient. They have quite a good API already. I've also written some blogs on how you can contribute, and I remember in 2020 when I did started the contribution, I learned a lot. So I did write a blog. I'll share that link as well, which made me think, okay, I started with a simple change which I could understand as a problem statement. So if you go and look at the issues, they have a very good documentation. You can go and look at the issues. The contribution guidelines are very good. Luckily, I knew people as well, but I don't think that's something that you have to know them in person to be able to work with them. You can just reach out to folks. They are very easily reachable on Twitter and also on GitHub, and it actually helps you getting your communication skills better and better. So I was able to I understood the code and I thought it was a simple change, and I ended up making 30 files of change, and I was like, whoa. This was simple, but yeah, it had a lot of things as well. So and also with there's a difference when it comes to contributing to open source while when you're working on your company based projects, because the open source project has a lot of standards set. They have their own specification, test criteria, so you have to make sure. But setting as a background, like collections API was there and it's widely used, I was able to correlate what they are trying to do, and it was very helpful for me as well to understand and get better.
That sounds amazing. Yes, indeed. The standards of the open source projects are quite different from maybe standards that we see in other kind of projects, but they're a good way to get us to know each other in the world, and actually to see how others are working like. So thank you for introducing us to Eclipse collections and knowing a little bit more about it. And I see that the host is making sure that you're getting known and sharing your blog and Twitter account.
Sharing all the information. Yeah. And,
wow.
and I love to hear the stories on how you get started with open source, because I think we all have a story. Yeah. Mine is really funny because it started not so good. I in 2008 I felt and I broke my foot, and I was
Oh.
stuck at home for 3 months, and
Mm.
I was really yeah, I didn't know what to do, and I was
Mm.
already using Grills, the Grills framework, and then I say, hey, it's easy to make plugins. And it was just the time that the first iPhone was out. So the first mobile websites were out. I say, hey, let me make a plugin for
Mm.
Grills for mobile. And that is how it started. And well, look today. And then I could join Red Hat because I had a mobile team. But yeah, it started with one thing. Maybe if that day I didn't felt, I would probably be using open source. Not sure I will be contributing that much as I do now, but we
Yeah.
all have crazy stories, I think, about how we started.
It's funny because I also started doing it during the pandemic time because I had a lot of time at home and I was already looking for something more challenging, and
Yeah.
uh, it was I think it was the right time. I was saving a lot of time on commute. That's why
Oh
it
yeah,
felt
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So that's actually an inspiring story, and it's good for our audience to know that you can start contributing to open source with small steps. By the way, some of the projects that are open source, they do have a label called Good First Issue.
Oh,
Search for that one. Search for that
Definitely.
one. Search for that one if you're like a first-time committer or you're just getting acquainted to a specific project. And also another advice is like if you're raising a pull request, you can always ask for feedback if you should change anything, if you're like uncertain that you didn't understand all the rules, because the other committers will be there to help you and give you feedback on what you can improve on your PR, not only code related, but maybe I don't know, comments on how you explained your change there. So
Definitely.
people are there to help you. Just don't be shy and contribute.
Yeah, and I also wanted to point out one thing which I actually learned while doing this open source contribution. Like, you are always welcome to contribute without code, also. So you can also like
really
join
important.
the community and drive the conversations. Like, I got involved with microprofile working group because of Garden State Java user group, and those are like the most amazing folks I ever met. So I go and join their marketing meeting and learn about how to market microprofile well, and how I can contribute in other ways as well. So these are like minor things that you can just join and show support, and it's always there. Like, once you get comfortable with your colleagues, the work gets easier. So you might, if you're too afraid to start, you can just join the conversations, and then you'll one day it will happen sudden, like, okay, you'll have a switch. Okay, now I want to contribute in the code now. So that will also might help some people. At least it helped me.
That's actually a very good point, because you can get to know a project also by talking with people that are already contributing there. Nobody's like saying that if you join the conversation, and this also applies to other open source projects. There maybe they have teams and Slack channels where they share information. You just join that channel and you see what they're talking about. Maybe it's not the time that you find something to contribute, but at some point they're posting an issue and you're like, oh my god, but I think I know how to solve this. So
Yeah.
that can be the trigger for
Yeah,
contributing.
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Feeling the community before.
yeah.
I mean, one of our guests, I think it was Victor, a few weeks ago, that was here,
Yes.
and he said, yeah, his advice was, he has several advice. Feel the community, to see how people behave, know each person, because you can sometimes there are some strong opinions, and it's great if you can spot them already. And the other advice was, contribute to stuff that no one else wants to do. Sometimes it's also this way that you can enter the community.
I
um,
agree.
yeah,
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 and I like the fact that even though I was shy, like introducing myself to the community, I was welcomed with open arms. Like, I joined random, uh, unknown meetings at JCP the first time. There were like 50 people, and I was still recognized. I was still like they spotted me and they asked me like, okay, introduce yourself. And I was very happy that they are like welcoming everyone, even though you are fairly new, because I didn't know anyone back then. And I think I know fair amount of people. So that's pretty interesting, because I've met like very few of them in person.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Now, that's the beauty of the communities and open source communities, actually, because I think there's a sense of equality, regardless of experience and background and all this. The spirit that unites us all when we're contributing to open source is that we want to volunteer something for a greater good. And that's something that we should cherish and pass to even more people. And speaking about small contributions, another recommendation that I can give you, and things that I like to contribute as well, is documentation. You might feel that this is not important, but it's not all the time the code that signifies a lot to people. So if you're like thinking to yourselves, and when you're studying a new library or a new framework, it's great to have examples, and it's great to have a good documentation over that. So whenever you're spotting like things that could be improved in documentations, please raise a pull request to, and people will appreciate that. I mean, a lot of documentations of many tools, and even our tutorials, Sebi, we sometimes get pull requests on improving the way that we express ourselves, or we express certain terms, because we might have not sent the right message, and we accept those and we embrace them very much, because it makes us like make something even better. And everybody's getting that for free, by the way, because open source is kind of associated with free by many people.
Right. Actually, documentation is good for first timers, because if you don't understand something, just contribute. Try to write something which another first timer will be able to understand. So I think that's a very good start.
That's a very good advice. Very good.
And the other way, if you have the chance to go to a conference, and not all conferences do that, but if Andres Almires is there, it usually happens. It's called the Akker Garden, and that is just in the hallway, and you can just sit there. There are some contributors to some project, and you can just sit around with them and contribute to some code, and they will help you, mentor you. This week was Javaland, and in Javaland they always do it, and Andres was there, by the way. But that's another way. And again, it's really open. So even if you're shy, don't worry. Just walk there, ask, look at the project, ask questions, and that's also another way of getting introduced to some community projects.
Well, now that the in-person events are coming back, and look that they're coming back, and we can safely meet each other in person, I think that this will be a good opportunity for Andres and others to organize many more like these. And I think it's great, because these are like pair programming with contributors, and it's even better to pair program, let's face it. So why not take advantage of that one as well? So when you're looking at a conference, by the way, look for those kind of sessions that are advertising this kind of pair programming to contribute to an open source project. And it can be very, very, very fun.
Pair programming is
go on.
No, I also I got lucky, because I pair program with Don Rap on Eclipse Collection. So I really enjoyed it, because first of all, it's easier to make, at least it's when you're new to an open source project, you don't know the structure, you don't know the APIs, which class belongs. The IDE does help, but it's always easier to have someone who can, work with you. But don't take this for granted that everyone will pair program with you. But I feel like I got lucky at the time. Don Rap really helped me, and it was very good to have him help me there to navigate through the pain points, and he was able to review my code as well. So
I think that Don is another person to be spotted at conferences for pair programming. So yes, you were lucky, but I think that it's probably the spirit of the project that is trying to promote this, and to make everybody feel comfortable with the code base as best as possible. Because the people that are contributing for a longer time, there is a certain the certain rhythm of how to code and the contribution that you can get when you're like coding with somebody who has more experience with that kind of a project. And probably this happened to all of us here in the show and also in the audience when coding with somebody that worked on the specific project for a longer time, it meant that we were up to speed even faster. Yep. So this is great, and this is amazing advice. But since we got to events, I know an event where I think three of us will be very soon. So how are you feeling? How's the talk? Changing it 1,000 times?
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm very nervous, to be honest, because this will be my first in-person talk. So at DevNexus, I've never given any in-person before. I've given a lot of virtual talks, and this is a new material that I'm working on, which is pattern matching for Java, which is changing a lot as well. But I was very curious about the topic, and I think the way I looked at it, and I learned from others as well, that if you want to learn something, teach by learning. So I thought, okay, let me teach myself by learning this topic, and that way it will be better. I'm still working through a lot of code and the stuff, and I think Java 18 is getting released, so I'll be able to compile some more code on my IDE. But yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to, because I've made a lot of connection over last 2 years during the pandemic with so many folks. I know Mary is on the chat here.
Yeah, awesome. Hi, Mary.
She's been like, I remember the first time I was actually doing public speaking, I was very nervous. There was a talk, aspiring speakers. So I managed to catch hold of Mary, and she helped me. Okay, let's bring you to a lightning talk. And it was my first conversation when I started speaking online. Also, I was still nervous, but I think she gave me that push. Okay, you can do this. It's not that difficult. And as you say, like, if you have good people around you, it's easier to work, and it's easier to give your best shot or do your best things. So thanks, Mary.
Yeah, and she wants to see some cats. I promise her I will show her Nala. She's sleeping right now. Oh, I cannot move my camera, but I should. I will try to prepare something, and I will show you Nala who is sleeping really, really, really deeply. Looks like.
Finally, because earlier was demanding attention. So.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah. Maybe I can use my other camera and show you. Let me just. We have
cuteness
some time.
moments. Now we're getting a little pause for cuteness moments.
Now it's time for a cute moment. Let me see. There she is. Look.
Oh. So this is the best developer support.
Yeah. She loves it. She's used to streams, that I have a lot of streams and meetings, and she loves it to hear us talking. And I'm sure she knows by now. She knows everything about Kubernetes. She knows everything about Java. I'm sure. Give her
and Kafka. Yeah. Don't forget
and Kafka. And Kafka. I'm sure. Give her a computer, and she can contribute maybe.
You don't know she's contributing already.
Maybe during the night. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yes. From security point of view, do not leave your laptop unlocked, or the cat will code. It's funny that she's thinking very much at you, and she took your spot. She's like making sure that you're sitting, so that you don't end up sitting down on the chair. And
here I'm standing mode, but I'm standing mode, so it's okay. But when I'm sitting, if I go 2 minutes outside to grab something to eat, when I come back, I'm always sure that she's on my spot, and she looks at me and she said, "Okay, come on now, it's my chair."
Okay, so I want to touch another subject that I know you love and you're contributing to as well. you're contributing to a lot of stuff. So that is really helpful in the conversation. Java in education. So could you please share with the audience a little bit more about that, if you want?
Yeah, definitely. So like I just mentioned that I joined some of the conversation first on the Java community practice, the community call. And there are several projects that they work on. And Java in education caught my eye because I could correlate a bit to it because, so first let me describe what Java in education program is. The program is all about spreading the knowledge about Java to early high school students and, to middle school and to college students, sharing the knowledge that, why it is important to learn Java, how it will benefit their careers, and how, you can make the best out of it. So we started working with creating some contents, like creating some abstracts that can be distributed to different Java user groups. My Java user group, Garden State Java user group, is already working on. We actually went to Madison High School here in New Jersey. Some of my colleagues, they went there, and they asked the students questions like, actually students asked them questions like, why we should learn Java, what will be like computer science helpful for them, how they can benefit their careers, or what can they do in futures. A lot of questions were asked actually. So these are we want to bridge that gap from, when you are early in your career, especially in the schooling age, where you want to understand where your career might go. And I could correlate to it because when I was a mechanical engineer, and I had like a knack of programming, but I was like a lazy person, like, oh, I'll do it. I don't know if I want to do it. I was always confused about things that I wanted. I knew things that I didn't want it. So I didn't know whether I wanted to be in a programming career. Somehow I ended up in a programming career, and I realized that Java is my way to go if I want to stay here. If I want to learn different languages, Java is actually a good way to start, because once I learn Java, I can learn any other languages. It's much easier. So that way I could correlate with it, the project. So I started working with Heather as well. We did a lot of videos recently where we interviewed a lot of Java champions and, industry experts. And I was just like, it was eye opener for me to listen to their stories. Like, okay, how they started, what they have achieved so far. And it was so humbling to really see that, that a language, a community and a language can make that difference to somebody's career, somebody's entire, community. So that was pretty good for me. And continuing with this, we are doing sort of Q&A and interactive session called Bird of Feathers on 22nd and 24th. I think one is in the US time and the other one is in the Asia time. So we will cover everyone. So we will try to, talk to people about what they think about Java in education. Heather is the lead and she's the chair. I'm just happy to share that stage with her. And she's been very helpful. She has guided me a lot in the last 1 year. And so you can learn so much from her. And she's very nice and easy to work with, I would say.
Thank you for sharing this with us. I think it's very important for people to understand that you can start with Java earlier than getting a job. And I'm sure that all of us have our stories about how we started with Java. Mine is it doesn't have pointers, so probably many relate to that. And
that's a good one.
What? I think probably that's one of the reasons why people went. Some folks will give it a try, but that was my case in university. I studied it in a class separately from the official university class because I was curious. Like, hey, I knew object-oriented programming from the other famous languages, And yeah, I've heard the rumor that this one doesn't have pointers. So I said, yeah, I must give it a try. I must give it a try.
Yeah.
But yes, and by the way, share your story in the chat if you would like about how you started with Java and what drawn you to Java and to learn Java, because we would love to see that and hear that, and what made you choose Java. It doesn't matter if you're not using only Java. We just want to hear what you loved about it, what you still love about it. I think there's so much to love about Java as it has improved throughout the years. We have now more programming models than object-oriented programming. I mean, back in the day, we used to say like object-oriented programming, better and procedural. But now we have way more options with Java, and I think that's kind of what it made it kept it so popular with many developers.
And
I agree. Java is aging like wine.
yeah. What else?
Yes.
Let me caption this. Java is aging. And you're speaking to a Frenchman, though, and
I was going to say that you just probably just impressed Sebi. I mean, wine and good wine, because Java's great. So
yeah. And just one thing about education, one good way to introduce to Java word for young kids, for instance, because I did that with my daughter 10 years. No, not 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when she told me, "Hey, Dad, I want to code as well." And I said, "Yeah, Java may be a bit complicated. Yeah, JavaScript, I'm not that bad at that, so no." No. But I was a big fan of Groovy. And I'm still a fan of Groovy. And I showed her Groovy because Java was without all the ceremony, no semicolons, no getters, no setters, no types, but to get introduced to small things, even like classes and objects. And I could explain to her a bit oriented objects, and she said, "Wow, but I can model everything that I want." I say, "Yes." And she started to model her school. So we have a class. In the class there's one teacher and students, and she started thinking she was almost drawing UML before. And
Wow.
That's another advice. And now to be honest, she's doing Python because she's studying Python at school. But she will come back to Java at one point. I showed her Quarkus as well, and she loved Quarkus as well. But
nice. We have JShell in Java, which is like a good teaching tool just to get started, and you don't need much ceremony for that if you want. That's very helpful for teaching, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I think JShell's invention has been a great starter and a great helper, not just for us, the experienced ones, but also for the starters. Somebody shared in the chat that their story is boring. I started the Java because we used it at work. I wouldn't say that's boring.
I wouldn't say that. It's not boring. It's
I think I know this person.
Oh, you know that person? Okay, awesome.
Oh, okay. So don't be. I mean, yes, it's very interesting that people sometimes need to start with a language because maybe they need to do it for work and they need to do the switch because of work. But it can always be a pleasant experience whenever you're learning a new language. So I think always we should think when we need to learn something because of work, not just see it as I don't know, as something that makes us uncomfortable. Of course, it's not. Learning something new is not comfortable. You're getting out of your spot, out of your nice, cozy area. But it brings you a new opportunity to link more things and to, put more things together and opens new universes. And something that I can say from my personal experience is that nothing that you learn on the job is, is useful. So everything is useful that you're running on the job. I can say that I'm grateful for every experience and everything that I learned, including using CMSs, by the way. So because they're useful when you're writing a blog.
Right.
So all of the experiences are something that we should appreciate, and do not believe that one language is better than another, because back in the day when I started, it used to be like this competition that it's cooler if you are writing programs in Java than coding with another language. I will not name which languages, but yet it was good to have also knowledge about CSS and JavaScript and so on, because you need to make things beautiful. Otherwise, the end users they were not using those XML from SOAP and those things. You could imagine they still needed user interfaces.
Right.
And
Yeah, I guess you're right, because Java is not the only language that you have to work with in your career. When you start Java, you have to learn some front-end development languages as well, which may be frustrating, but you have to be patient and learn them. But it's not possible to live in this world without interacting with other languages. So I would compete with IDEs than with languages.
Oh, we can start this topic now. It was a great remark from Jonathan. He said his favorite thing about Java are the libraries, and I agree. There are so many. For every problem, there's a Java library. And he mentioned Apache Camel, yeah, which is awesome. And really nice integration in Quarkus, by the way. But I love Camel. Yeah, I don't know if Zineb is there, but someone from Red Hat, Zineb, she's awesome, and she's contributing to Camel project, and she's doing amazing stuff. And so what's your favorite library? Well, both of you, maybe, Neha. Do you have one favorite library? You say, oh yeah, I really love this one.
That's a tough question, but I think Jackson library is pretty good, because that solved a lot of problems when we used to have to marshal unmarshal objects. That really helped a long way. I love the Spring framework and the libraries from it. I think when I started as a Java developer, learning about Spring Boot and all the Spring related libraries, they solved a lot of problems. They made the task so easy. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of time. You can just get started in those 5 minutes guide. I think those are pretty helpful. I like Eclipse collection also. I can go on, sorry. But these are like my top few libraries that I really think are very helpful, very useful.
Yeah.
For me, I think that the list can also go on for ages. I mean, it's very tough to pick out one. Once you get to know the universe better, it's very tough to stick just one. Yep. And I remember that when I was starting with Java, everything that I was learning, I don't know, starting with collections, for me, it was like, wow. And for those of you that remember the days when doing Swing applications was fun, and applets and all this thing, for me, it was really, really impressive, seeing all that. And also, I'm not sure if you, but probably if you tried it for sure for projects, the 3D features and all these other stuff, and to draw, those are really cool with the points and everything. I was so fascinated by using those. For me, it was this can be done.
I remember the time of Java at school. We learned Java 2 ME. So we didn't have any smartphones. It was still all Nokia phones, but we learned how to do it, and I managed to write some small games running on my phone, and that was so awesome. And and other libraries, Vertex. Let's mention Vertex. Awesome library.
Yeah, that is my favorite actually, because it powers our favorite framework. So yeah.
Nice.
I love that people in the chat are sharing more and more about their stories and
GWT.
Oh yeah, I used Google Web Toolkit.
Already. Yeah. When you mention Java to Aurélie, she will mention GWT. Hi, Aurélie, by the way.
Hi, I saw her in the chat from the beginning. Joined a little earlier than Mary. It's so great to have you here, Aurélie, as well. So yeah, GWT, another great another great framework, I would say, because back in that time, I think we loved using GWT in controlling the front end from the back end, and not necessarily all the time writing the front end, but if you're doing some native functions, you ended up writing front end. And yes, those were fun times as well. But yes, it's good that as developers, and speaking to the Java developer bubble here, it's good to try as many frameworks as possible. Not just stick with one, try more and combine more frameworks so that you know why are those needed, and why some of them are not needed. So what are the use cases when you would need a framework or not? There used to be like many years ago combination with Spring and Struts. Yes, it used to be many years ago, but it used to be like and if you would have asked somebody then at that time, why are they, because that was my question, but why are we using them? I mean, why are we using them together? And a lot of people didn't know how to answer to that question and why actually that combination was chosen. Because sometimes when choosing frameworks, people are influenced about, I don't know, what they saw and others were using, and because it's look cool and because there are examples over the internet. But I think as developers, and we are seeking to improve, we should also do our own research and do our own POCs before adopting a language or a framework. So, and as diverse as possible.
Actually, I see there are a lot of talks also available which they actually compare the framework. So if you don't want to do your research yourself, you can actually listen to those talks, because I attended some conversations regarding differences, why microprofile should be used, or Spring Framework, or Quarkus, or all these things. So it may depend on your use case, but yeah, you can do that research.
Well, talks are great because they're inspiring you to actually think about your context. And that's an important aspect that people should be aware of. So when you're listening to a talk, always pay attention about the use cases that the speaker is sharing with you, because they're in a context. They're not in like, use this all the time.
Yep.
Because I don't think there's anybody that says, use this all the time, it will work. Because everything works in a specific use case and context. And yes, you can listen to those talks and you can take them further and adapt, sometimes examples, because people are sharing examples. You can use the code there, save some time for you, and, readapt it for your own use case. Because, well, speaking also from previous experience, it was difficult to justify an architectural decision because you saw a nice talk done by someone. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. You cannot justify just with that. You kind of need to give some more, more objective reasons why you're doing that. So yes, wow, the chat is flooding with.
We have an interesting journey from ProDev21. He said he started with Basic, then Visual Basic, then C, then C++, then finally Java, then University, and the following is funny. Then G2E through me, and then I use Perl, PHP, and now Ruby, more JS, and Node stuff. So that's a really nice. It's exactly what we are saying. It's and maybe ProDev, you at one point you will come back to Java and yeah.
I think that well, with GraalVM nowadays you can combine a few more programming languages. So that's something that we should be aware of. That the native mode that is enabled for us with GraalVM can help us into combining even more the languages. So this kudos one more to native. And one more thing about G2E. Yes, I remember the days when. So imagine that if somebody's coming from the Spring way of working, auto-wired all the time, and you then get to inject all the time. And let's just say it from my point of view, like from Spring to J2EE, because it happened at some point. After some time, it was interesting to readapt and relearn that something available with the framework itself, because J2EE was available with the framework, with the standard, you were getting it. And it's also good to know also what works in the standard and what's behind beyond that hood of nice, annotations. Because nowadays, I think that we're kind of drawn to annotations, but I encourage you, by the way, to also click on those annotations and see what they're doing behind the scenes, because it's quite interesting to see sometimes how many things they actually combine and how are they working. And also encourage you to write your own annotations if you feel that's helpful for their project. So yeah.
Actually, code reading is a good habit. You should always read the API codes to see what they are actually implementing. Sometimes you may even find bugs there, and you may want to fix that quickly. You can do that.
Yes, true. Sometimes, yes, the bugs are hidden in the fact that maybe we misunderstood the specification of something. And we just went through with an example we saw on a website, and we didn't look like why it was there asked. Also, same thing with annotations. And at a conference like 2 or 3 months ago, somebody asked me about some differences between annotations and their implication when using them with a singleton at application scope and so on. And I think it was really interesting to see that question after so much time, when people are just annotating things and they're not thinking, why are they annotating things? So you always have to think of the implications when you're putting more and adding more, and how those things are going to change. And that's actually that makes a great developer. A great developer knows the implication of what he or she is changing there in those annotations and in that code. And yes, it's always back to the basics with Java, and it's probably with any language. So yeah. Well. I see a lot of things regarding service mesh in the chat.
Yeah, no, and I was, and sorry if folks Magedon. First I was, why are you talking about service mesh? But probably honestly, I started the stream a bit in a rush, and usually I have to update the titles. So on YouTube, it's probably the good title. On Twitch, I have to do that manually. So it's probably the latest stream that happened on the OpenShift TV for those that are on Twitch. And it was probably about service mesh. So sorry about that. If you were excited about the service mesh talk, the replay will be available from OpenShift TV. And it gave me the opportunity to share our ETO tutorial from our team, because it's the best tutorial, of course. Anyway,
of course,
of course.
Yes.
Do you want a Nala update? Let me quickly
of course,
do a Nala
cuteness update.
Cuteness, because she's
ready.
Where is she? Yeah, look, and she turned a bit. And yeah, and I must, if I go too close to the, if I do this, she will attack me. No, she attacked me just before. So yeah. Back to the other camera. Okay, sorry about it. It was just the like some streams on Twitch. You have these ads sometimes in between the stream. Well, we have cats.
Yeah. Well, we're making Nala famous. I think soon is going to become the most famous cat that knows Kubernetes, OpenShift, Java, and and Kafka. So that's something that is to be known by the entire world, and has met so many people. I think she's close to the communities.
Yeah, she's on so many streams.
That's cool. That's the best attitude. And yes, it's always making us smile. Nala is always with us in the meetings. And whenever Sebi's there, we can see her and her friends in the house.
Yeah, because I have other cats, but they are not here around.
So it's amazing. It's amazing to know more about your experience, and to hear from the audience as well their experience and how they navigated from a language to another one, and they moved to newer ones. And I think it's great that people are not just sticking with one language, and they're exploring even more, so that they're not just living in a bubble.
Definitely, I think I was listening to one of the conversations from Venkat, and he suggested that if you want to become like a functional programmer in Java, learn Haskell. So I started.
Wow.
trying it out. It didn't really help much right now. I'm still in the early phases, but I think the perspective that he wanted to give is Java is becoming more and more functional. But if you have been coding in Java for a while, you have that mindset of being in
Oh
imperative language. It's very
yeah,
difficult to switch. So you have to unlearn and then learn
and
again.
yeah. Oh, that's a great advice from Venkat. That's right. And I think he
Yes.
will be at DevNexus as well. I saw it on the
Yes,
speaker list. I can't wait to see him again.
yes.
Mm,
Very
cool.
So
excited.
yeah,
Yeah.
DevNexus is going to bring together a lot of great folks that have been with the community for a lot of time, and I think it's going to be a lot of energy there, and people, and all of us are happily waiting to see the audience and see people.
Yeah.
Uh,
I,
af-
I think it will be a lot of emotions as well to see people back that we haven't see
yes,
for at
definitely.
least 2 years, but some
2 years.
more. And and oh yeah, let me. By the way, in 15 days there won't be a show, and then I'm traveling. But the next show, if everything goes as planned, should happen live from DevNexus. And so the whole team will be here probably, and maybe we can get some organizers, some speakers. I don't know. Let's try. Let's see what we can do. But
Nice.
anyway, yeah, the next show will be live from DevNexus, and hopefully we will be. Well, it will be streamed, of course, but all the guests and everyone we will be sitting together, and so that's the plan at least. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
so excited.
Yeah. Oh, and happy we have JSP mentioned before the end of the stream. Thank you, Goose. Yeah. Well, I started with JSP, and it was great. It was magic. It's still well, when you discovered, if you discover programming today and we show you JSPs, I think
Yes.
you find that awesome. Because yeah.
Well, I started Google Web Toolkit. I mean, and that was my first. And then the second one was migrating from GSPs to something newer. So but for me, GSPs at that time was a really nice surprise. I think we loved and learned the model view controller very much. And the fact that we could have had a good separation. This is the model, this is the view, this is the controller, and we could have have that that nice view over what we're coding. So we could have easily separated, I know what each part is doing what. And nowadays, I think what probably makes some developers confused is where's the new paradigm, because we're not a model view controller anymore. It was what's the annotation doing and what's the magically triggering behind the scenes for you. Nowadays, we're annotation driven, configuration driven, YAML driven. So yes, but of course, and yes, thank you for sharing the DevNation Day on Kubernetes on the next show.
Yeah.
So
and I'm replying to other SEO questions. All because of my fault. So and luckily I know the answer, so I can also reply to that at the same time.
So yes.
Oh, and look, you can do it. I was about to say, oh yeah, now maybe you can see her. She's hiding. Now she's hiding. I could do a third update, but now she's hiding. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, already. Yeah, it will be awesome. DevNation Kubernetes Day. So it's not next week. The week after. Yeah.
It's on 30.
Yeah. I'm a bit lost in the calendar and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Do not panic me, please, with the calendar.
No, we still have some time. No, because that means also, okay, one more week. Yeah, that's great. That's also other stuff to prepare. Yeah.
In February, all of us made a mistake with the calendars, with some meetings. I mean, we used to say but we have that, but we actually were seeing double invitations, for the same event. And I panicked, Sebi, with something. Then I think somebody else from the team shared something else, and we got panicked secondly. So yeah, that's how we are working here on, informing each other of what's happening and reminding each other that's happening.
So you guys
No,
are
we're
doing
grateful.
great.
So yeah, no, we hope that everybody has enjoyed, and thank you for mentioning that
Yeah,
there's going to be a DevNation Day at DevNexus.
yeah,
So it's going to be a
exactly.
DevNation Day track at DevNexus in person with a lot of talks that are one of our, I think, the best talks that we have on different technologies. And there's going to be a lab that we're going to do, which is great for those of you that are interested in doing cloud native applications, working with Java and Kubernetes and many more. So we're looking forward to seeing you all there, and work us for 8 hours.
Yeah.
So yes, and we hope that we will meet everybody there, and see many familiar faces and meet new people, because that's the goal of
Also,
events.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to meeting everyone.
Us as well. We've been we're missing a lot of people that we, like you, we have connected, all of us. We've connected
Yeah.
remotely. Briefly, we've seen each other in person at some events that, how was last year? There was some time when you couldn't be in person, and afterwards just moved to online. But yeah, maybe we're kind of defeating all the situation of remoteness. So yeah,
That's true.
playing with this. Playing, I see. Yoda style. Yes. Well, I think it was an awesome conversation, and awesome to have you here, Nea. And thank you so much for accepting to come here to
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
to us.
And
It was
for everyone
really
that,
my pleasure.
yeah, it was awesome. And for everyone who would like to rewatch the if you're on YouTube, the replay is the link that you are seeing right now. So keep this link, and that's the replay. We will put it in our playlist. We have a DevNation playlist on our YouTube channel. And for those on Twitch, I think come to our YouTube channel if you want to watch a replay. It will be for 15 days, I think, on Twitch. But yeah, come over on our channel, subscribe, give a thumb up. I'm doing my YouTuber. It's my son. Getting advice from my son. He said, "Hey, Dad, that's how you do it." Anyway, thank you so much, Nea. See
Thanks a
you,
lot.
see you both in 3 weeks live,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, you will be able to come back on the show if we do it live there from DevNexus, and it will
I
be
think
awesome.
it's going to
I'll
be a very crowded show. I have
Yeah.
a feeling.
I have a feeling about that as well. Yeah, it will be awesome. Okay, hey,
that
thank
would be really
you.
nice. Thank you
Thank you,
so much
everyone.
for inviting me. Thanks a lot. And thanks a lot for a lot of comments came in. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we love this interaction. Yeah, bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.